AngularJS. So in this session we are going to see service. So service, it is a JavaScript function and used to do only a specific task, and it can be created in two ways. One is factory and the other one is service. The built-in functions are prefixed with $symbol. So in this session we are going to see the service in AngularJS. So service, it is a JavaScript function and it does only a specific task. In AngularJS there are many inbuilt services like HTTP, route, window location. So these services they are made for specific task. All right, these inbuilt services are prefixed with a symbol, $symbol. They are prefixed with a $symbol. Okay, and the services can be created in two ways. One is factory and the other one is service. So let's see how to create a service in an AngularJS application and how we make use of it in an application. Right, so just click on file, go to new and dynamic web project. Give ANGS. I create a underneath web app. I create a folder named lib and so I'm gonna paste the AngularJS files underneath lib. Okay, now you can see all the AngularJS files underneath lib. So here in web app, right click on web app and go to new and then HTML file, just to create a new HTML file named index. And now again right click on web app, go to new and then create a folder. I give it app ang files. So in this folder app ang files, right click and go to new and then click on file to create an AngularJS file. So I name it angdemo.js. So now AngularJS file angdemo.js has been created. Here we are going to create a Angular model, that is var app equal angular.model. Here I give the name of the model is angdemo, comma array. Array holds the dependent AngularJS files. So here again now I'm going to create the service using factory method. So app dot the keyword factory, and here I give the name for the service. So I give math service, and then I just create a function and here what I do, I just declare a variable named factory, and I just assign it with two braces so that it becomes an object, right? Now this factory, it becomes an object, it becomes an object, and now I just created factory dot, I'm going to create a function named multiply. Okay, and I pass in, I'm going to create a name function named multiply, so equal, so it's a function. So in this function multiply, which I mean that contains two parameters. One is two arguments, one is a, and the other two integer arguments, a comma b. Okay, here what I do, I just return a strict b. Okay, this function multiply, it returns the product of a comma b. All right, and then what I do, I just return factory, so that what happened, this service, match service, is going to return the complete uh, whatever the stuff we have done in this factory, through this factory method, whatever this stuff we have done in this service, match service, those things will be returned when I give return factory. All right, so that's it. Or if you have multiple components like multiple functions, just consider if I have multiple multiply and then subtract, add, um, so in that case what I can do, I can return only a particular component, return, and then I need to give I need to key in the dot, so that it lists out all the components whatever this service does have. All right, so now you can see only the multiply, because we have defined only for the multiply function. Okay, so I would like to return all the stuff in this match service. Right, that's it. So here you can you make a note of it, in this through factory method, when we create a service named a match service, we create an object that is named as factory. All right, let's see how to create uh, app, service using service method. So app dot, just give the keyword service, and here you need to give the name of the service. I give call C service. Okay, and then what I do, I just create a function, and in this function I'm going to inject this match service into this call C service. All right, so I just pass in this match service as an argument to this function. So I give match service. Okay, so here what I do, in this when I create service using service, I'm not going to create any object in this service. Just I'm gonna use I make use of the this keyword. Right, this refers to the current object, so this dot, right, I create a function named sq equal, right, I give the I create the function, and this function contains an argument, named a, right? This function contains an integer argument, right? So I just inside this, what I do, I'm gonna make use of this math service. So I just return math service dot. So go to the math service. This math service contains multiply function, all right, multiply method. So I'm going to call this multiply method, and this multiply method does have two arguments, a and b, two integer arguments. So I give it a comma a, right? So this a, I got it through this function, okay? So that the product of a would be returned here, okay? So this call C service will return the product of a through by using the math service dot multiply function, okay? That's it. So here you make a note of it. In service I didn't create any object, okay? Wherein factory, when I create a service using factory method, I create an object, and when I create a service using service method, I didn't create any object, all right? And so here this service, it will return all the stuff whatever we do within this service, that will be returned by this service call C service, because we have created using the service method, right? So if we create using the factory method, we do have choice to return whatever the component we would like to return to the consumable place, all right? So and then I'm going to create controller. So app dot controller, and here I pass in the name of the controller, ang. So call C controller, okay? And then I'm going to create a function. That function holds two arguments. One is scope, so it contains scope argument, scope inbuilt service, and then I'm going to pass in the call C service that we have created. So call C service, okay? So within this, so I just create an function named square, okay, equal function and here I just return what I do, scope dot result equal call C service dot. So you can see the call C service. This call C service does have a function named sq. So I'm going to call this sq function, and I just pass in the scope dot number. So this it is a variable. This variable would be a two-way binding variable, all right? So that will exist in the view page. So that's it in the ang demo.js, right? So let's move on to index.html. Here what I do, I just change the title element. Here I give the value service. So the name of the page would be service. Okay, and here add I use the script element to add the to link the AngularJS to this HTML. So go to lib folder, right click on AngularJS, copy qualified name and paste it in this, paste it as a value for the src attribute. Right, and then you create for, we do have one more we need to create one more script element equal, you can see the ang demo. So ang demo.js, that file name should be given here, right? So it resides in this app ang files folder. So that's been given, right? So in this body I could just create div element, and in this div I'm going to create data-ng app equal, what is the app we have created? Ang demo. Okay, and then data-ng controller, we have created the controller name is ang so we have created this callc controller. Okay, so callc controller. Okay, and here what I do, I just give a label number, and nearby I use the input element. Here type equal, I give you can see the number selected, the type is number, and then data-ng model, here I give the value number, that is go to ang demo. Here you can see we have given the number, right? So this number variable, the same should be both the value here data-ng model, the value for this attribute, and in the callc controller, in the square function we pass in the, when we call the callc service .sq function, we need to pass the argument, that both the arguments should be same. All right, and then what I do, I create a button. Here the name of the button is the button, the name of the button I just give square. So in this I call data-ng click. Right, so I use the ng click attribute. Here I pass in, I am going to I'm going to assign the value. We have created the square function, right? In the controller we have created the square function, so I'm going to use this square function, right? So square, right, that's it. So I'm going to run this. So this is the ANGS is the application we have created. Click on finish. Okay, so now you can see the page name is service, right? Because we have given in the title element we have given service. Okay, and then you can see the number as a label, because we have given the number as a label. Okay, and then you can see a text box, right? So which does have the the up arrow and down which looks like a combo box. All right, so here you can see when I click on the up arrow, you can see the number has been increased. When I click on the low uh, arrow, the number is decreased. All right, so now why because this input element, that is the type, is given as number. That's the reason you can see a text box with this arrow marks. All right, it looks like a combo box. uh, this arrow marks comes the input type we have given number. If we give text, then this arrow marks won't appear, and we won't be able to see this. We won't be able to do this increase the number just by clicking on a arrows, right? And then data-ng model attribute is assigned with the number. So whatever the number I give it here, all right, I give it in this text box, that is passed here, all right, in the callc service dot sq. That is, callc service is here, sq function is here, that is passed here. And again in turn, this function sq function, it calls match service dot multiply function, and it passes the value whatever we have passed it in the text box. All right, so whatever we have passed it in this text box. All right, and in turn, this this multiply function, what it does, we pass in both the whatever the value we passed in the text box, that's been given as the argument, both the arguments, that's been given as the value for the both the arguments. And in this multiply function, what it does, you can see it just multiply both the values a and b, and it returns. All right, so that's the reason we get the result, and it got stored in this result property, and that's been displayed, that will be displayed. All right, so I just we need to give one more. So here you can see so when I click on this square, this page doesn't display any values, because we need to give one more br. We need to make use, I just give the label result, okay, and then I give, so I just give the result, okay, as a label. I give a label, this result, okay, and then what I do, I use the two braces. Within these two braces, I use the property result. So this result, you can see, go to ang demo.js angular.js file. You can see the controller function, call c controller, okay, and here you can see the square function, and within this you can see the result property. All right, so this result property, it will hold the square of the number, square of the whatever the text, whatever the number we give it in the text box, that will be squared, and that got stored in this result property. Right, so that's the reason I give it in the index.html file. I give it within the two braces, I give it this I give this property name. All right, that's it. So I'm going to run this. So select ANGS and then Alt F. Now you can see the service name. Services that I have explained. The title of the page is service, and then number. Then you can see the text box, right, which holds the arrow mark, and then you can see the square button. So square button, how come? You can see the button, we have created a button using button element, and it does have an attribute named data-ng-click, and which is assigned with the value square function. So this square function that we define, the square function that we define within the call C controller. Okay, and it does have the it calls the concerned service, right? Call C service, and this call C service in turn it calls the match service. Okay, and this match service it returns the product of the number what we have given in the text box, right? That in again it's been passed and it got stored in this result property of the within the square function. Okay, so that uh, that's it. So I'm gonna you can see the numbers, so I just click on this number 1 2, and what I do now, you can see the number 2, right? So I just click on square, so that you can see the result label, right? So result label we have given it here result as a label. Okay, that's the reason you can see it there. This result within the two braces that would appear when I click on the result button, right? So now I'm going to click on the result button as a square button. All right, see, now you can see 4, right? So that's a 2 into 2 4, right? So when I give some other number, just consider I give 3. So I'm going to click on the square. So now you can see 3 into 3 9, right? So in this way you can give any number, right? So I give 4 and click on square. You can now you can see 16. So 4 into 4 16. All right, so that's it. So we got to know in this session, we got to know what is service and how we what are all the ways we can create service and how we make it of make use of it, make use of service in an AngularJS application. All right, so that's for the session. Thanks for watching. Bye.